Hunter March, welcome to SnobCast. This is an entertainment podcast, movies, music, and apparently glass blowing. So, this is a new thing for us here. Thanks for being on the show with us.
That's exciting that I get to kind of break the mold for Snobcast a little bit.
Yeah, you do. Literally break the mold. That's what we're talking about here is molding glass. Uh,
Yeah, I got to
it,
imagine you've been like Dune 2 focused for the last week and a half, and now it's
yeah,
like, all right, what
yeah,
happens if we melt the sand?
yeah, and I haven't even seen it yet. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, have you seen it?
It's amazing. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen.
All right. I was gonna go after the hype dies down a little bit. I was gonna do that.
Don't get in there now.
Get
You
in there
you want
now.
to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, and before I see spoilers and shit, I don't want to ruin that. Uh,
Yeah.
Again, thanks for being here. If people are not aware, Blown Away, it is on Netflix. This is the fourth season. They brought you in as the new host, which is really exciting. And it starts March 8th. By the time this airs, it'll be live. Are the episodes all released in one shot, or is it a weekly thing?
All released in one shot. I think only, Love is Blind gets the special Netflix
Right.
treatment where we get to see it week after week. Everyone else is like, it's out. You go whenever you're
Yeah.
ready.
But it's binge-worthy content. I mean, it's
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 so
crazy.
crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think especially after watching 3 hours of Dune 2 and watching 2.5 hours of Dune 1 before that, it's crazy that Blown Away is only like 30-minute episodes because
Yeah.
they are so bite-sized compared to everything else I watch that isn't
Yeah.
YouTube or TikTok.
Right.
And so when I found out about getting the show, I mean, I'd seen it before, but I rewatched everything. And I watched 2 seasons in like a day and a half. And then I, looked up and I was starving to death and I hadn't had any water. But yeah, it's
Stains
the
on your shirt.
easiest show.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The easiest show to watch.
And I mean, what was it like for you to just the approach to it? You're like, what the hell am I gonna do? Like, you're like, why me? Is that did you ever question why they asked you?
No, what's funny is I think I don't know how it came up or like how my agent kind of maybe heard that they are casting the role. But the person at Netflix was like, we don't think Hunter's the right guy. His humor is very dark and
Interesting.
dirty. Because I'd been on a show right before that was all about pop culture called Nightly Pop. And there,
Hmm.
like my role was to be the, edgy, how far can I get? Luckily
Comic.
I
Yeah.
never, yeah, I was never upsetting the audience. I wasn't ever that guy. But, a lot of my humor was dark and
Yeah.
a little twisted, but always in good fun. And then someone just reminded Netflix, they're like, by the way, Hunter hosted a baking show for kids for five
Yeah.
years, so I think he can turn it off. And luckily that they took the bait because I went onto a show where every term is a euphemism for something inappropriate. And I
Which
didn't
is a
make a
ton of
single
fun.
joke. Yeah, I didn't make a single joke because I knew that I was coming into the fourth year of this, and anything I said was something that not only had been said on the show, but had probably been said in every hot shop across America for, 15 years before that.
Yeah. And I hear that you got to try glass blowing.
I did.
How has that changed your life, man? I mean, I I can't even imagine. I saw a few episodes and I was like, this is wild. This is like this is that's I was just watching and I was like, this is insane.
It's the coolest form of art I think
Yeah.
that I've ever done, especially because one, it's super physical. I love the heat. I love
Yeah.
for me, exercise is always a very gives you a lot of endorphins and everything. So this is like a form of meditative art that you're also getting a great workout in. I'm talking
Yeah.
hot yoga times 10.
How heavy is it?
Um,
Is it really heavy? Like when you're pulling
yeah.
like on the stick and all that?
I mean, it's hard to guess how heavy the pipe is. The pipes are
The
different
pipe.
weights,
There you go.
but
Yeah.
the pipe I got to imagine is at least 10, 15 pounds on its own. That's without any glass added on the end. And
Hmm.
now you have to remember, it's just physics. The glass is at the very
Twirling
end of the
it and
pipe.
yeah.
Yeah, you're keeping emotion, but the heavier the glass is at the end, now all of a sudden you're doing this on the other end to kind of counterbalance. So some of these artists, especially on the show, when I did it, my glass got heavy, but not as heavy as theirs did. I mean, some of them are got to be carrying around 20, 30, 40 pounds of weight
Wow.
for hours.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'd actually
And
like to weigh it. I'll see. I'll do that next season.
so your the piece you worked on did not bust. It did not break. You still have it.
I still have it, and it's cool. It's really cool. I
Amazing.
love it. I thought I was gonna absolutely destroy it, but I had really good help in the hot shop by two of the great artists there,
Okay.
because it's a team sport for the most part.
Hmm.
And now I've got this like piece that I get to have for the rest of my life.
That's pretty incredible. And I mean, the show I know is like Canadian produced and kind of based. Is the show shot in Canada or is it in the States?
Shot in Hamilton.
Hamilton, Ontario. I actually
Yeah.
just came back from there this weekend.
Were you there for
I
the comedy festival?
I no, I'm part of this. So I do a bit of stand up on the side, but I'm part of this fake wedding show called Joe and Mary's Wedding. It's a fake Italian wedding, and we literally go on tour now. And we were in Hamilton the other night.
What do you mean you go on tour doing fake weddings?
It started here in Montreal. This guy had this idea and just kind of reached out to us, and it's literally so I'm part of the honor table, and there's like we're like 10 of us, and people pay to come to a disastrous fake Italian wedding. It's like everything falls like it's all like scheming and
So it's like an
we're
immersive live show.
correct, like theater, like live theater, but just like more improvised and it's all Italian, the Italian music. The meal is like chicken parm, like all these small things. And we were just in Hamilton. It was my first time. I'm in Montreal and interesting place, gotta tell you.
You moving there?
No, no, I'm not. Are you?
Yeah, hopefully I'll be moving back there for 6 more weeks if we get another season of
Yeah,
the show. But
exactly.
yeah, I didn't mind Hamilton. For me, I haven't left LA for that long of a time,
Hmm.
So I grew up here. I'd go on trips for a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there. I went to Europe for a month when I was younger on like after my first big breakup, and I was like, I'm gonna
Live your
find
life.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, just found myself sad and alone in Europe. And so when I went to Hamilton, it was like this weird in between. 6 weeks is like too long to
Right.
pack just a bag and too short to not pretend you live there. And so I
Correct.
became a Hamilton resident for a month and a half. And apparently they have the most beautiful botanical gardens. And now I have a girlfriend and she'll come with me. And so I'm excited to go visit those quite a few times. I think apparently they're stunning and
That'd be
massive.
great. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Hamilton, Ontario. That's wild. Uh, I'm curious to know, because I also heard that you're an artist. And I mean, how do you blend? So what came first, comedy or artist?
Comedy came first as a young man. I was just so enthralled by like being funny. It was all I cared about to the detriment of everyone around me. I was
Hmm.
learning to be funny all the time, and they had to endure me learning how to be funny. And then, I hit like this weird point in my career where I had accomplished a lot of what I wanted to accomplish. I got a house, I had a show on Netflix, and another show on cable, and another show on cable that nobody cared about, which is always a goal. Everyone wants a show
Oh, I
that
love that.
fails
Yeah.
immediately.
It's a flex. It's a
Um,
flex. Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
flex. Hey, I've been recognized more for that show by contestants than I
Y-
have people who watch the show.
Was that the Game Show Network show?
Yeah, it was Emo
All right.
Genius on Game Show
Yeah.
Network.
Okay.
Um, and so then I just got into this weird point where I was like, I don't know what to do with my days now because I was working 12 hours a day happily every single day, morning to go into bed. I was working, working, working. I never did anything for myself. Didn't drink, didn't do drugs, didn't play games, nothing. And finally, I got to this point. I was like, I think I want to take a break. And I was living with a guy who was an artist at the time. He was living at my house and he had all this painting stuff. And I just started painting. And all of a sudden, I mean, Grant, I think I put my same unhealthy work ethic into painting.
Right.
But I learned how to paint really quickly to the point where like my family thought I was messing with them when I would show them art because I'd be like, "Hey, I
Hmm.
did this this weekend." They'd be like, "You don't know how to draw," and I was like, "Yeah, I know, but I learned to paint."
Is that one of your
So
pieces behind you?
no, that's one of my dad's pieces. I have one piece in here. It's a little inappropriate, but maybe you can.
Show it.
Okay. This is a piece.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it
Is
could
it
be.
is it
It's a.
complete? Is it you're done?
Yeah. This is
Amazing.
the blurring of the face and all that
Love
stuff. So
that.
it's like
Gorgeous.
intentionally that way. But there's. I mean, my house is filled with probably 30 paintings. I'm
Hmm.
just in the back house right now.
Yeah.
So the only one back here is the one my girlfriend doesn't want in the rest of the house, you know?
Gotcha. She's like, that's not me.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want another girl in the house with us.
right. Just kind of going back to your hosting. I mean, you've always kind of been a host, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and it's kind of in your blood, right? Because I did a bit of research, and your grandfather was a successful game show host in the 50s, right?
He hosted the $64,000 question, which at the time was like the biggest show in the world. Like there's studies done that crime would go down for the 1 hour that show
That's
was on. The president was like, I'm not talking to anybody when the $64,000 question is on during
yeah,
certain, seasons and
yeah.
episodes. But then that quiz show scandal happened to a different show at the same time and then kind of knocked everything. But I never met him, so it's weird
Hmm.
that it's in the bloodline
I
this
was gonna
much
say
because
it's kind of in the bloodline, and I mean I'm a big game show nerd, so it's kind of cool that that's and now the thing is like there are those game shows that are successful, but a lot of the things now are these like competition shows that you're hosting, like Blown Away, for example, right?
mm-hmm.
And it really I feel like it brings a different edge to the host. I mean, because you gotta like I don't know if I can ask this or not, but like how much of the show for you is scripted and how much is improvised? Like, can you improvise?
Yeah, of course. I
Okay,
mean, I think that's one reason why they wanted to go with me is that I am very off the cuff and I'm gonna give them a lot of sound bites to choose from.
right,
Uh, but obviously everything that's happening in the hot shop is what's happening. There's no scripting, someone breaking, their piece they were
right.
working on for 3 hours. There's
I meant
no
more for you, like for you as a host. Like, is there like here's a script, you gotta practice this or
There are lines for sure. There are moments in the show that, anytime you're introducing elements to the show, especially if you're doing anything related to actual gameplay, if you're doing something that is in relation to the prize they could win or elimination, you have to read off of a script because just legally, you need to say everything that needs to be said.
yeah,
And I would always prefer that. I don't want to improvise and get someone eliminated because they're like, didn't you say this? Um, but during all the deliberations, anytime we're talking to each other, usually it's 100% just like, hey, can you ask them this? And then as soon as I cue off with that, it leads to 5 minutes of conversation. And then if there's another moment where they're like, oh, something over there is happening, can you go over and ask them this? That's as much scripting happens
hmm,
in the show. It's really minimal.
amazing. So you have a lot of you're able to just kind of do your thing without being stressed or without
Yeah.
memorizing and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they also, like, if they do need you to say something, they'll literally just say it in your
Say that.
ear.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they'll literally go, "Hey, say this because we need it for the edit," and you
right.
say it. And I think it would take a very poor host to get offended at someone telling them what to say. For me, it's like, great, give me the things I need to say so that I can have fun saying the rest of the stuff on
Right.
my own.
Yeah, for sure. Why do you think this show is is so successful? Like, why do you think it resonates so much with people? It's pretty niche as a show, but it's fucking 4 seasons. You know what I mean? And now
I
they have
know.
you. Now they have you, and it's like an incredible add-on. You know what I mean? Like,
Thank you, brother. That's nice. I mean, I would say Blown Away is like the Italian wedding of Netflix. It's like, you just never know what's going to happen. You really, I mean, unlike other shows, um, it's like watching the NHL a little bit, and that, like, yeah, it's really fun to watch it go well, But it's also really fun when there's a fight. And for us, a
Yeah,
fight is like glass breaking and someone having to restart and all the stress that comes with that. Also, you like that NHL drop I just did,
that was
huh?
amazing. Yeah, that was great.
Guy knows hockey.
You
PK
know,
Subban.
you, yeah, yeah. You know exactly what sound bites to use. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think that's one of the reasons is like you just don't know what's going to happen on the show, and you end up um, on the edge of your seat for these 30-minute episodes that fly by, and then at the end you get rewarded by seeing art that really, I mean, to see it in person for me was one thing, but even before that, when I was watching the show, I was just blown away. And I hate to say that.
Ah,
I know, don't you fucking say anything. I do that all the time, and it's very frustrating because everyone goes, "You're doing it." And I go, "Not on purpose."
10K just right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. So yeah, I think that's one reason. It's cool to see someone fail so many times and then still produce the most
yeah.
beautiful art you've ever seen.
I think the pandemic kind of, and I hate going back there because it was a crazy time, but I think the pandemic kind of brought out certain niches that people never thought of in their life. And now it's like glass blowing, you know, you had like the whole like Love is Blind thing and you did you said you the other one with the kids in the baking show. Um,
Baking show was big during the pandemic. I mean,
right?
that was like everyone was like, I got to make banana bread. So let's watch Sugar Rush to learn how. And then
Yeah.
they would watch people make cakes 7 feet tall and be like, that's not what I meant.
Yeah. Or is it cake or something like that? You know what I mean? Like just so many things were I guess people figured it out like they never had a solo experience ever. It was like, "Oh, I also like glass
Yeah.
blowing." You know what I mean?
Yeah. It is such a niche world. I mean, I didn't even really know it existed in the way
Mhm.
it does. I don't think a lot of people do until they either watch the show or get
Yeah.
involved in glass blowing. But to learn that it's as intricate in some ways as it is, or as mass produced in other ways. Every glass you have in your house had to be made,
Right?
and there's just so many ways to do it. So to see again these masters of the craft competing with each other in a shop that is so not conducive to
Mhm.
good glass blowing. I mean, our shop is hot, it's tense. You're using gear you're not used to because it's not your shop. And yet they all just come out with these beautiful pieces. Uh, and then they, it's insane. It's a lot of stress to just wait for someone to judge your art. But everyone was a class act. Everyone was so gracious and cool. And the winner, oh, do you want to know who the winner is?
Can we do that?
No.
No, don't do that.
Just kidding. Um,
I was like, "What?"
yeah. I mean, you could skip to the last episode
Could,
the day
yeah.
it comes out March 8th and find out, but what a waste.
What a waste of time. Just don't do that. You know what I mean? I'm curious to know. I have a few rapid fire questions before I let you go. Is that
Okay.
cool?
Perfect
Um,
timing. Yeah.
yeah. Um, are you familiar with Letterboxd?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're doing this thing now that's like four favorite films.
Hmm.
You're very you know, you're a comedy guy. I need to
Hmm.
know your four favorite comics.
Four favorite comics.
Yeah,
Um, I would say Robin Williams. It's
go.
really hard for me to like watch a Robin Williams clip without just being astounded at the energy.
Right.
On the other side is Norm Macdonald. I'm astounded at
Oh,
how low energy he is.
what you said both those guys are both probably also in my top, four for sure. Norm,
They're the greatest.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Norm is the greatest. More modern, or at least people performing right now would be Dave Chappelle is just
The
the
GOAT.
storytelling.
Yeah.
He maybe could slow down on some of the topics a little bit. Hey, no
Yeah.
need to cause a riot every time.
Right.
But when he tells his stories and stuff, and when he does stuff that's really personal to him, I just think he's got such a way with the audience and such
Hmm.
a control. And then finally, I don't know. I mean, someone who I'm into right now
Yeah.
would be maybe a Nate Bargatze. I just think
Oh,
is
nice.
he's doing clean comedy, which is if anyone's ever tried stand up, it's so much harder to
Yeah.
do and be funny.
Yeah, it is. And he's doing it. And he's hosting SNL and stuff. Like,
Good for
um,
him.
that's a great four. Top four. That's amazing.
It would change if you asked me in an hour, but yeah.
Are you more of a pizza or a pasta guy?
I'm gluten intolerant, so
Ah,
both of them
shit.
are a little tough. But I will say I do really love pasta because there's a lot of gluten-free pastas out there that are better than the pizzas. Um, and I love it. I love pasta. I make a good pasta too.
What is there a sauce that you make or
Yeah, well, I could do quite a few. You come on over, you're in
all
trouble.
right.
You know what's been really good lately, actually? This is so cheap, but there's this gluten-free ravioli, a
Okay.
cheese ravioli from Trader Joe's.
Hmm.
The easiest thing you can physically make. I do a lot of real cooking, but I will say there's something special about just putting something into hot water for 3 minutes and then putting some, pre-made sauce on.
For sure.
But I do love a nice slow cooked marinara, over
Mm,
the course of a day. And then you
lovely.
have that sauce for like a week with like fresh tomatoes, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. If you hear some buzzing right now, it's there's construction happening below me for some reason.
I
I don't know
can't
if
even
you
hear it. You're doing a great job.
amazing. Finally, something that you're listening to right now, music-wise, that people will be surprised that you're listening to.
Oh, you know what I love, and it's so stupid. There's two things. One is every once in a while, me and my girlfriend will have Nerf gun wars because we'll
Okay,
find the Nerf guns that are scattered throughout the house.
that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's something I've done with my last roommate, my buddy. He came home one day and I put a Nerf gun on the door and I said, "Good luck." And then all the lights in the house were red. I had Viking war music on,
Whoa,
and I had like the Sonos system throughout the house, so it was like blaring. Like the neighbors probably thought they were gonna get taken over and pillaged. Um, and so now I still do that, and I'll find Viking war music on my Spotify when I get to the gym, and I'm like, why not? And then the other one is a song called, speaking of Jim, it's a song called Agape,
yeah.
it was viral on TikTok. I think that's how I found it. Um, but it's from If Beale Street Could Talk, or that movie. I
Oh,
forget if I'm
okay. Yeah, that's the movie. Yeah,
that song is one of the most beautiful songs in the world to me. And for some reason, when I'm lifting, I think it takes me out of the lift entirely, but it's so beautiful that I don't mind.
yeah.
Listen to Agape, close your eyes, get into a really, don't do it at work, like do it when you have a moment and just listen to that whole soundtrack. It'll just transport you to this like beautiful realm of artistry.
I'm gonna do that right now after we get off this
Yeah,
call.
do it.
Yeah.
Good headphones.
Yeah, for sure. Hunter March, Blown Away season 4 on Netflix, March 8th. Binge all those fucking episodes in one
So
day.
good.
Thank you for taking the time and being on this show with us. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you,
Uh,
Johnny. And I am excited to see your Italian wedding collapse, either when I go back to Canada or when you guys come to LA. So keep me updated.
I will 100%, man.
Thank you, brother.